In this video, I'm going to show you how to install our AR conversion parts on the Diana Bandit. It's basically the same process with some minor differences on the Chaser and Airbug. The AR lower and the buffer tube are compatible with all three air guns, and then there's a different tri-rail for the Bandit than from the Chaser and Airbug tri-rail. So you have to select that option at checkout to get a shorter tri-rail for the Airbug and for the Chaser. This one is longer. You can see here's a Diana Airbug here that's already been converted, and it's got the shorter tri-rail on it, so you can't put this one on here, but you could, I guess, if you wanted, put the shorter one on the Bandit. So the lower, it's 3D printed in ABS plastic. The tri-rail is 3D printed in ABS plastic. The buffer tube is printed in polycarbonate plastic. I chose polycarbonate because it would just be a good candidate for this buffer tube. It'll make it really strong, and it might be prone to breakage and whatnot, you know. So I made sure that it's a good, tougher material. Polycarbonate can be a little bit more difficult to print, and so that's why I wouldn't print it with the, with just anything. I normally do ABS if I can get away with it. It's easier to print with. It's a really good, tough material, and it's also much more readily available. Sometimes I have a hard time getting polycarbonate. So anyway, so I just do polycarbonate for the buffer tube here, and I'll give you more details about that in a minute. The lower, it's compatible with AR style grips. It'll come with this little grip here. This is not the greatest grip. It's pretty cheap, and it is injection molded in the US, manufactured in the USA, so I really like that part. It's injection molded by a company called PFI Incorporated, or Z-Blades. So it's cheap enough though to where I can just include it in the kit, and that way you can get straight to shooting with it if you like. And if you don't like the grip, well, you can just take it off, and then and get you another grip. And that's the nice thing about this this modular AR lower grip system. So another thing to note, this is compatible with lots of different AR grips. I've already bought let's see, 4 different ones that are really popular and tried them out, and they work really well. One thing though, you can't use the quarter 28 screws that come with the standard AR grip. You'll have to use the screw that comes with it. It's an M5 by 25. I'll show you why I had to do that. So I chose an M5. First of all, it's metric, and so you'll use the same Allen keys that you would use for working on the rest of your Diana air guns. But also, I didn't want to thread directly into this plastic here, because that plastic would just strip right out, and that would definitely not be ideal. So I ended up going with a square nut inset into the plastic here, so that it threads directly into steel, or this stainless steel, and it'll be a much more secure grip there. And then basically I was constrained by how much room I have in the standard rib for the AR lower. I picked the largest square nut that I could fit in that space without interfering with the grip, so I came up with an M5. It's the biggest that'll fit there, and fortunately it uses a 3mm Allen key, just like other screws in the air gun, so that's good too. So make sure you hold on to the screw if you're going to change out the grips. You'll need it. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and leave the grip off because it helps you to access the screw in the back here, but you can still install it with the grip on if you'd like. It'll come to you with the grip already installed, most likely. Let's see, with the buffer tube here, I made it to where it's a really tight fit, because the screw that goes into this buffer tube, this cap here, it just passes right through and screws into the breech there. So that allows it to have a little bit of play in that through hole there, and there's really nothing to keep it from moving around without making a really tight fit. So what I did is I printed it just a little on the large side, and you'll have to take a little bit of sandpaper, like a little strip like this, and you can put it wrap it around it like this. I've already done it with this one, but you can wrap it around it like this and work the OD down until you get a nice snug fit in that tube there. But you want to make sure that you don't take off too much material. You want it to be a nice tight fit. You don't want it to be so tight though that you have to hammer it in. So if you're not comfortable with sanding that down a little bit, the buffer tube might not be for you. It's really not bad though. I'll go through the whole process and show you what that's like to install it. Not really much to say here on the tri-rail. It has a barrel band that was by popular demand. I was not going to include the barrel band, but enough people mentioned it to me that I decided to go ahead and include it. I was going to try to leave it off because sometimes these barrels on the Dianas will be a little off 2-3 degrees or something like that. People will send me pictures, and so you'd have to bend the barrel down in order to use the barrel band. But yeah, enough people wanted that barrel band that I included in there, and so if anybody has any issues with fitment and whatnot, I'll make it right, and if I can't fix it, then I'll refund you or whatever. You just gotta let me know. And I think that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and get on with the installation. The kit will come with the screw for the grip and the square nut already installed, grip installed, and it'll come with these 2 screws here for mounting the lower. It'll come with the hardware already installed on the tri-rail as well. This one right now, it's all black. I prefer the black cap screws and nuts. But sometimes I can't get those, and it might end up being stainless steel, so just be aware of that. So the first thing you'll do for the Bandit and Airbug and Chaser, you'll have a screw right here that you remove. This is a 3mm Allen wrench, so go ahead and remove this screw first. This air gun is degassed. This is a PCP, so I removed all the air first, because you have to turn the safety, you have to take the safety off in order to remove this trigger guard. But obviously on the Bandit, and on the Airbug and the Chaser, you could just take the CO2 out and you'd be good to go. And then make sure it's decocked as well. I'll show you why in a bit. So for the Chaser, once you remove that screw, you can remove the trigger guard, and you should be able to just take the whole stock and rotate it this way and move it back at the same time, and you'd be able to take it off that way. With the Airbug and the Bandit with this big clunky wood grip, there is a screw that goes into the cap that retains the hammer spring. Wrong one. You got to use a 2.5mm Allen wrench for that one. So go ahead and remove that screw. Set that aside. It's not going to be reused. Now you can take that off. Now the next step would be to remove this screw right here. You can keep this one in. That'll be a 3mm. Switch hands here, and that'll be a 3mm Allen wrench. This passes through this little cap right here, and you can see there's a lot of play in it. It passes through that cap and threads into the breech. So you'll need to make sure that it's decocked, because this will be under a lot of tension here, and whenever you pull this out, the spring is going to want to shoot this cap out. So this one's decocked. I'm going to still put my finger over it, pull the screw out, and then catch everything as it comes out. Now if you only get say the AR lower and the tri-rail, and you don't want the buffer tube, you want to keep it in a pistol configuration, then you'll want to hang on to this cap and hang on to this spring alignment feature, because you'll be reinstalling those for the pistol configuration. I'm not going to be reinstalling those because I'm converting this one into a carbine with the adjustable stock, so I'm going to show you how that would be done. The next step would be to put the lower in place. So go ahead and put that in place, and then this screw that comes with the kit, it's an M5, it'll go in next. Use a 3mm Allen wrench to get that screw started, but you don't have to push it up, you don't have to put it in all the way, just enough to kind of locate it there. And then the next step is to put the hammer spring back in place, make sure it goes into the detent of the hammer there, And then next, I've already sanded this buffer tube and confirmed that it fits in, you know, nice and tight with this one. I'm going to align the alignment feature in the spring and then push it into the tube there. And you might rotate it a little bit as you push it in. Try not to bend it, you know, this way. And then put this long screw that comes with the kit in, and then you'll have to, it's a nice tight fit, so you'll have to get it started with the Allen wrench. Probably should have checked it before I put the screw in. There it goes. All right. So now this one you can go ahead and tighten all the way. You want it reasonably tight, but you know, obviously you could just torque this thing down until it just smushes all the plastic out. You don't want to do that. Just get it nice and reasonably snug. Now the next one will be to go ahead and snug up this screw with a 3mm Allen. Okay. So now your lower's installed and the buffer tube is in there nice and snug. This is offset so that, yeah, so that, you know, you clear, the bolt clears like so. Yeah, and you'll see on one of my other ones that it was centered before, but if you bring it down to a really short length of pull, it'll interfere with the bolt. So now I made it offset to where it clears that. So the next step would be to go ahead and put the grip back in, line that screw in there, tighten that up. So I guess technically if you wanted you could leave it like that, and now you have a little mini carbine. I'm going to go ahead and install this tri-rail, show you how that's done. On the Airbug, you don't need to remove the barrel because it has a little steel cap on the end there that you can just take some set screws out and remove that cap, and then you can just slide the whole thing over the CO2 tube and the barrel. But on the Bandit and Chaser, you will need to remove the barrel in order to get this installed. So in order to do that, you'll use a, let's see, a 1.5mm Allen, and you'll move all three of these. I like to just get them to where they're almost removed. You can back them all the way out until you know they're out, and then just thread it back in just a tiny bit so that you don't lose them if you like. Now the next step would be to carefully remove that barrel, and whenever you reinstall it, you might want to lube up those O-rings. So I'll go ahead and remove this cap on the Bandit so it doesn't interfere with installation. You may need to loosen up these screws a little bit if I accidentally over tighten them before sending it to you, but these are already loosened, so it slides on nice and easy. Then the next step, I guess I can go ahead and put this cap back on, and then you would lube these O-rings, which I'm not going to do in this video, and get everything lined up. Slide this in. Be careful at this spot right here so you don't jack up those O-rings, and slide it in just like that. Now the first screw that you'll tighten here is this middle one, because it goes into a little detent in the barrel, and so it works as an alignment feature for clocking the barrel correctly. So you can kind of wiggle that as you're installing the set screw, so you can kind of feel it falling into place, and then after that you can just get these nice and tight. Now the next thing would be to tighten down these, so these other screws, it's actually already feels really good, but I'm going to go ahead and tighten these screws to make sure it's very secure. Once you get a bipod on there or something, you know, you can really get a lot of leverage on it and try to get it twisted. So there we go, nice and secure. Now it's all done. You have an adjustable stock, AR or compatible lower for changing out your grips and whatnot, and you have a tri-rail for mounting all kind of accessories, probably more than what you could actually fit on there. So that's the Bandit. I'll show you what the Airbug looks like. So here's the Airbug. You can see this is an earlier iteration of the buffer tube. This one was concentric to the whole tube, the little cap was. This one's eccentric, so the whole thing is moved down a little bit, and then you can see this one flows a little better with the AR lower than this one does. And yeah, and then pretty much, you know, you can see this is a shorter, you know, tri-rail there. And what else do we have on this one that stands out? Oh, and you can see here, you can, you know, if you already have one of these suppressors installed, you can just slide that off, and you'd be able to slide that tri-rail, you know, right on without taking the barrel off and everything. Or you could take the steel cap off of there, like I said earlier. So there's the Diana Airbug, and here is the Chaser. I'm working on changing the suppressor for the Chaser, so this is that new suppressor. I'm making it to where it's not going to have the steel insert in it anymore. The steel inserts can kind of cause a little trouble for me. It takes a lot of time for me to install those, and they're, you know, and it may not even be necessary on the Chaser. I'll probably still include those on the 1/2" UNF suppressors, but I'm going to use a different type of insert. One like this here, an easy lock, one-piece insert like that, rather than the spiral wound helical inserts. You can see this one has a different grip on it. It's much the same style, but, you know, a different finish and everything. And I like this grip a little more. This one has the MFT style adjustable buttstock. I'm going to be adding that as an option soon as well. I just put a bunch of those on order, so you'll be able to select from this a little more lightweight, lower profile adjustable stock, or, you know, from the standard one that we've already been offering.